Yeah, so I've owned gravel bikes for the last couple of years, done a couple thousand miles on them. These would be my recommendations if you were getting started in gravel biking and looking at your first gravel bike. Again, a lot of people ask me like, what type of gravel bike would you recommend? If you're not in a hurry and you're not gonna race on it, the most comfortable gravel bike is actually gonna be a mountain bike, a really cross-country mountain bike with really skinny tires. That's gonna be the most comfortable. Now on the flip side, if you're gonna use it on the road and you wanna do a ton of miles and you wanna race, then there are great gravel bikes out there. You really can't go wrong nowadays. There's no such thing as a bad bike. It's really preference on brand, components, color, and those types of things that are gonna lead you to a bike of your choice. But at the end of the day, there are a couple things that I would keep in mind on purchasing a gravel bike. Within the gravel bike category, I think there's kind of two veins you can take on gravel bikes. Number one would be kind of your race, aggressive focused gravel bike. Those are gonna be very similar to a traditional road bike. The geometry, the setup, the components are gonna mirror kind of what you would find on most road bikes today. And then on the other side, you have kind of your more adventure bike packing gravel bikes. And these bikes are gonna be more laid back, more comfortable. They're gonna come with mounting points. So depending on what terrain, what type of riding you wanna do, there's that initial of, do I need an aggressive gravel bike or do I want something that's more adventurous and I can do a lot of miles on it, but not necessarily be in a huge hurry. All right, we're gonna try and get this in one single take right here, nonstop. I'll cut it up a little bit, but this is one take. I'm not doing like 50 different takes. So in thinking about a gravel bike, a couple things I would think about. Once you decide on what category of gravel bike you want to focus on, then the next question is carbon or aluminum. Now, my preference would be focus on carbon, just because carbon has a dampening effect and it will remove a lot of vibrations from the kind of rougher roads that you will be riding on. Now, you can get away with aluminum bikes. I've ridden gravel aluminum bikes. They're fine, they work great, but you do get that little extra level of comfort on a carbon bike. So if you can find great bikes, great carbon gravel bikes to start out on. I would focus on that. If not, if it's a budget thing, aluminum will do you well. The other two things I would focus on, one would be tire clearance. So making sure your gravel bike supports kind of a wide range of tires. This bike specifically supports from like a 36 up to a 50 millimeter, which is basically like a cross-country mountain bike tire. So I have a lot of range of what I can do with this. If I want to ride it on the road specifically and only on the road, I can run a much skinnier kind of road bike focused tire. If I'm going to be on like rough single track, I can flip it and put a really wide tire on it, and it gives me a lot of different terrain that I can ride on this gravel bike. The second thing would be drivetrain. I'm biased towards the 1x on anything that is going to be used on the dirt, whether that's a mountain bike, whether that's a gravel bike. I always go 1x just because the 2x systems drive me nuts. I feel like it's too much shifting, it's too much maintenance. At the end of the day, if you're on a 1x and you want more gear, you can just put a bigger ring on it and that'll make all the difference. But focusing on a drivetrain that is specific to either mountain biking or gravel biking. If you get a road bike system on a gravel bike, they just don't deal with like the grime and the dirt and the dust very well, and they get, you know, bundled up and they're just a pain to deal with. So I think like a GRX system, an entry-level SRAM, Eagle, or NX or GX, I think would be great places to start. I do not necessarily think the new transmission system is necessary on a gravel bike, let alone an entry-level gravel bike. The amount of money you would spend on a transmission system is just not worth it. On an e-bike, when you're shifting under load, it totally makes sense. But on a gravel bike, I just don't think it's necessary. For the money you would spend on it, I would love to have one, but they're just too dang expensive at this point. And I think that would be the things that I would look for in an initial gravel bike. Again, you can't go wrong. They're all gonna be great bikes. It's really preference of what type of riding you want to do, what brands you like, what colors. You can't go wrong with those as long as you get kind of the things that you want in a gravel bike and that you're focusing on. Feel free to check out my reviews of my other bikes. I have a bunch of bikes on this channel that I review, more to come. If you like this, you know, my 5 subscribers that watch this, thank you, much appreciated. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.
So look, I'm out here. It's early, the sun just came up. Gorgeous wheat fields. The best part about gravel biking is if you look around, it is just me out here. See my shadow. But that's about it. Just me and the dirt.